Rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Cheryl, please call the roll.
Joe Burden.
Here.
Dennis Gagnon.
Here.
Peter Lewis. Laura O'Connell. Here. Bob Lusardi.
Here.
Heidi Wendell. Here. Neil Zucker.
Here. All right, thank you very much, Cheryl, and welcome to the second meeting of 2026 for this Philipstown Planning Board. We appreciate everyone's accommodation to this new schedule. The fourth Thursday works for everyone, including our lawyer, who is not here tonight from a personal issue, but we will persevere. We have if Bob Lusardi can pinch hit as an old lawyer, he can, old lawyers never die, they just come on to planning boards. So we're lucky. We're lucky. No, Bob, you don't have to play a lawyer on this one. But we wish him the best, and we will persevere this evening. We have a relatively light schedule. We'll start with approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please? Thank you, Laura. Second, Joe. Any comments, corrections, deletions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I missed the last meeting.
Okay, well, I like that. It's helpful. Any opposition? All in favor? Fine. Motion passes. Thank you very much. On the minutes, as we inserted I would describe it as a not obligatory portion of the meeting, but I'll just open the floor to my fellow board members. Any observations in town you want to share? Anything you see that maybe is worthy for our CEO's attention? No obligation?
I don't know if you got my,
I did.
if you want me to raise it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just
sure.
one, the one that I would ask the zoning enforcement officer to take a look at is Riverview Industries on Route 9. See whether they're in conformance with their site plan approval.
As you may not know, Bob, that was the first project that our two board members to the far end, to my far left, were introduced to at this board, which began our crusade to attend to Route 9's burgeoning truck park behavior. And so I think it's a good topic you've raised. I'm sure Heidi and Laura have a similar concern. And we'll pass that on. Cheryl, if you wouldn't mind passing it on to Greg, please.
Sure.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I also, by the way, concurred with the one that you raised at the last meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, I concur every day when I drive by it. Anyway, thank you. Any other issues, questions on that one? All right, hearing none. Moving on to Hudson Highlands Reserve. I'll leave the floor to the most senior employee of Beatty & Watson, Mr. Watson himself. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. You have a letter before you requesting the third extension of final approval. Essentially, I tried to explain in the letter the reason for it is some of the approvals are coming on a serial basis, and I attached the email correspondence with the DEC that you could wade through and figure out how long this has been going on for a permit that's still not in force. So I was respectfully request that third opinion on behalf of our client, that third extension on behalf of our client.
Any comments from the board? Comment, Ron, anything to add?
No.
I will just add that I can appreciate the frustration when you see a couple, generally government officials don't say, quote, I apologize for the delay, end quote. So they must really be apologizing. I also want to say I find the item, your application is nearing the top of my list. I thought it was pretty funny too. Like there's an actual list that this person is tracking. I thought it was pretty.
But they don't get pulled up, they don't get pulled out from the bottom. They get pulled out.
I get it.
In a random order, and maybe it's not so random.
Well, squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we're happy to add some grease tonight. Can I have a motion to approve this extension, please?
I'll make that.
Thank you, Dennis. Second. Thank you, Laura. Any comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you very much.
very easy billable hour you just got out of this. Good job. Good job. Okay, local law 2026, referring to paragraph 175, the zoning code. There will be I understand, a town public hearing on March 5th to discuss the matter. We've been offered the opportunity to make comments. Are there any comments from board members on the adjustments to the zoning code as suggested by the town board?
Not as now, right now.
Okay, none. Laura, Heidi?
No.
No. Joe?
I
Bob?
had some.
Go. Yeah, go. And Cheryl, could you capture these? Because I think we should send a note.
All right. There were a couple of typo issues, I think. One is there were several references to an article, Roman numeral 4. I think that should be Roman numeral 5. The other typo issue I found was with the amendment to 175-20A1 in item 3 of the proposed amendment. It says the proposed local law resolution, there's no proposed amended language contained for item 2. So that was 175-20A1 was the section involved, and it was item 2 of that section that they just didn't say what the amendment was supposed to be. Actually, if you want me to give you the exact, see if I can find it quickly here. Yes, item Roman numeral 3 on the second page of the document, under Roman numeral 3, item 2. It seems like what the proposed change wasn't put in there. That's all I'm saying. It says in subparagraph 1, the sentence reading, quote, "The planning board may also waive any requirements that, in its sole discretion, it deems unnecessary for a complete conservation analysis," close quote. It doesn't say anything after that. It just doesn't finish the thought. The other comment, just 2 more comments I had. One, there's a reference, and this was in the old section, the old code as well as the new one. There's a reference to the Rural Design Guidelines and Hamlet Design Guidelines published by the New York Planning Federation, 1994. I can't find those. I believe the clerk, town clerk and the clerk of this board couldn't find them either. I couldn't find them online. I don't know if they're around anymore, but I don't think it's good practice to be referencing a document in a statute that can't be located, all right, can't be known. The other significant comment I had to do with the language that was changed, a proposed language change to 175-19A2, which was on the, I guess on the first page of the document. That one says, it requires the planning board to direct a conservation subdivision whenever, quote, the planning board finds that a conservation subdivision would have a less adverse effect on the town's rural landscape or natural resources than a conventional subdivision, close quote. So it mandates that we go with a conservation subdivision under that particular circumstance. The statute previously said the planning board may. So in other words, it wasn't mandatory that you go with a conservation subdivision. It was optional on the part of this board and this board's discretion. And I feel that that option should remain with the planning board for various reasons. I don't want to take a lot of time talking about it, but there could be a circumstance where you still want to go with a conventional subdivision, notwithstanding. And I don't think it's a good idea to tie the planning board's hands in that situation. That's it.
I have a couple of comments. It's funny, I have the exact opposite view as you on that one, which is fine. You may not have heard me say this before, in different boards I've been on, I've had one chair say something really striking for me, which is unanimity is a sign of governance failure. So I'm glad we have some debate. I actually like when we have constraints, because to be frank with you, having too much openness actually can tie the hands of the board, because we may not know what the heck then to do. And so the choice of judgment, especially since we're all, you're not an amateur, but we're all amateurs here. This is a layman's board by design. So I actually like, in fact, in this very paragraph, Cheryl, section 3 of this memo, subparagraph 2 is repealed and reenacted. They changed from the planning board may require to submit a plan for a conservation subdivision. They changed to we shall require. So I actually kind of appreciated that level of clarity of what the board's, the town's intentions are. Similarly, as you saw, they changed the density calculation. It used to be we had a choice. It's a yield plan or a density formula, and I remember when we did Hudson Highlands Reserve starting 12 years ago, this board spent a lot of time going back and forth, well, which one was it, and how do we do it, and how do you understand the difference? And again, as a layman, I was like, okay, town, tell me what you want, and I'll tell you what the answer should be. But giving us almost too much latitude. So I actually appreciate the narrowing of choice, and I think it also helps the public, frankly, because if you are a business person trying to put together a plan, knowing what you can and cannot do is probably, again, as the phrase goes, creativity loves constraints, so having a little constraint may be helpful. But I understand where you're coming from, Bob, and I think we can share both views with the town board.
Neil, can you add that I agree with your view that it's better that it be required, that the planning board be required to
Provide a conservation subdivision plan.
Yes,
Yes.
provide for a conservation subdivision instead of a conventional.
Okay. I do think, Cheryl, it would have been helpful for us as a planning board, since this is the operating paragraph for us to use, that we would have been given a redlining of it, because it's a lot of hunt and peck work here to figure out. And it'd be one thing if we were commenting on a paragraph not related to our work, but this is literally our operating Bible, this chapter. So that would have been a little bit helpful. I'm not trying to put work on my friends in the town board, but it would have been a little helpful to us.
I agree.
Okay, moving on. Thank you for that. I don't know where we should put in the VASTA discussion. Should we just do it first? Is that okay? Okay, so let's talk VASTA. So I think we've received now the variances from the zoning board, is that correct? And so there, yes. And I think we have a couple of topics in front of us. The first is we've received I wouldn't call it a formal letter, we received an email from the chair of the the conservation board with significant reservations related to the development of the septic system and the SWIP, and the clarity about what that is, given the, quote, grade 2 and 3 steep slopes. There's a significant concern that there has not been enough clarity about what the plan is for that SWIP. And I think that deferring to both Max and Andy, Max being the chief compliance officer for the conservation board, and Andy its chair, I think that's not an unworthy request. Simultaneously, I'm okay raising to this board whether we go forward with a public hearing to have the discussion had publicly, and I think that's perfectly fine. Ron, why don't you just give us a sense of where we stand on this application overall?
Sure. The matter's been before you for an extended period of time. The board has made necessary referrals. As you described, the Zoning Board of Appeals has acted to grant variances on matters that came before them. I myself am a little uncertain whether all 3 variances have been given, but that can be confirmed. The ZBA believes their actions are concluded. And the board has been seeking to get understanding from both the ZBA and the Conservation Board as to whether they're prepared to move it forward. The ZBA has already acted. Conservation Board apparently has responded to you today to identify their concerns. So that's satisfied your inquiry. So the only other statutory matter that's currently still open before the board is the scheduling of a public hearing on the matter.
So let me make sure everyone on the board has read that note from Andy. Has everyone read it yet? Why don't we just let everyone read it and pass it on down like a note in elementary school? And we'll just take a moment pause to have everyone read that quickly. You saw it? You saw it? Joe, here you go.
I didn't memorize it. But
You didn't memorize it? They say a good way of maintaining your mental dexterity as you get older is to memorize a poem a week. That seems like a very high bar.
well, when I get older, I'll do it.
Well said. Well said. Well said. I just crossed over 55, and at my gym they have a separate column for 55 plus athletic activities. How many push-ups in a minute? How many sit-ups in a minute? How much can you bench press? And so I'm really cleaning up in the 55 plus category because apparently not a lot of 55 plus guys and gals are going to my gym. So kudos to me. Has everyone read it now? Okay, Bob's still reading. So anyone here from out of town? No? Okay. Well, how would you guys rate the snow cleanup here in Philipstown? All in favor? If you think we did a good job, raise your hands.
You did a good job considering.
Okay. Shockingly, Jason is not thinking it's good. Shockingly, Jason is on the negative. You had a shot, Jason, of being on the good side of. Okay, has everyone read it now? Okay, everyone's read it now. Back to the business at hand. All right, thank you very much. So, have you guys seen? And actually, this is not for. I don't think it's for public sharing. Anyway, so. Ron, what are your thoughts on this request from Andy? Is this a reasonable request to make of the applicant?
Yeah, again, the concern of the board has been understanding the full scope of the extended disturbances and the impacts on steep slopes. So it's highly appropriate to get final design details established. Certainly, it would be of interest potentially of interest to members of the public here. So,
do you feel like we can go ahead with a public hearing before this material is done?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Okay, I have the similar view. So I'd like you, Ron, to talk to the Vastas after this about the request we're making for them. But for that, let me just ask the board members, do you support Andy's request for the Vastas to create a much more detailed SWIP? I think without Dominic here, I'll just request a show of hands. Yeah? Okay, no one's opposed. Okay, so I'm going to ask Ron to sit with you too and just walk you through the request from the Conservation Board for a greater set of detailing of the SWIP for all of us to have a better sense. Bob, please. Yeah, please, of course.
Yeah, along those same lines, I'm coming into this late, obviously. I wasn't here for the original meetings, but having read through the application and so forth, the variance application and what's been done in the plans before us, my concern is has there been any kind of stormwater study done so far on this property?
No, that's not yet been established. That's one technical concern that has been identified from early on.
Here's my concern about this project. This property is on a steep slope. It has frontage on Cliffside Court, which is a narrow dirt road. On the other side of Cliffside Court, there's another steep slope going down. There's property of Cardini and also the Town of Philipstown on the other side of the street. So up the hill from this property, in other words, this property doesn't make it all the way up the hill goes on beyond this property. The land above it is also Town of Philipstown vacant land, and it's a pretty large parcel of land. So what I'm concerned about is in a heavy stormwater coming off the Philipstown property above, that's in higher elevation than this property, and it's on two sides, all right, maybe even three, coming down the hill. The driveway and the way the site plan works for this property, it's like a button hook. The driveway comes down from Cliffside Court, goes up along it's the north side of the property, loops around behind the house at the top of the property, and then down the other side to enter the garage. And my concern is that the water coming down that hill in a heavy storm is going to get picked up in that driveway, and that driveway is going to send that water down like a giant culvert. And when the water gets to the bottom of that driveway, it happens to be, from what I can see, is the lowest point on Cliffside Court. So if that water's coming down at the lowest point of Cliffside Court and it's not handled properly, it could easily blow out Cliffside Court and continue on down the hill. All right? If that happens, in my mind, you could leave the people who are between that point and the cul-de-sac on Cliffside Court stranded, where the only way they could get out in an emergency would be by helicopter, frankly, because the slope goes up from their houses and goes down from their houses. If the road is out, they've got a problem. Similarly, in the wintertime, I could see, it's a pretty steep grade going down. If a car starts sliding down that driveway and gets to the bottom of that road, it could easily go across the road and, like a ski jump, and start heading down the other side of the hill. Very dangerous situation. Or if there's a car coming along at that time, it could be a bad accident. So I don't see how you can deal with this property without having a stormwater study to know what the volume and velocity of water coming down that hill is going to be. And then you have to design drainage to go along with that. As I say, I don't know where you run the drainage, but you'd have to run it significantly beyond where this driveway meets Cliffside Court to handle it properly. So that's my main concern here. And I have to say, I also took the opportunity to look at the video of the town board's discussion on the Upland Drive Special District, which was several years ago. And there were a lot of concerns there about how stormwater was handled on Upland Drive, the safety of Upland Drive, and so forth. And so, this is sort of a tricky area, as I see it. The town board felt that it was an area that needed special attention due to the circumstances there. And I think it's one where, it's incumbent upon this board to really take those issues seriously, stormwater and traffic safety. And that's why I think before you have a public hearing, I'd like to see a better plan so we know what we're dealing with. And the public knows what we're dealing with.
It's a fair comment. Just because there's been a variance authored and offered and granted doesn't mean we don't have to have a requirement to protect the stormwater as it falls. So
also, just on that point, the zoning board referred all issues of drainage and so forth to our board.
Yeah.
They didn't even deal with it, right? They just referred it to us. So I think it makes it even more incumbent upon us.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense, though, that they did that, because they weren't asking for a variance on stormwater. They were asking for a variance on grade, basically. But it's a very good point. So Bob has suggested a different approach, a sequential approach. Bob is suggesting we get the detailed SWIP before we have a public hearing. I'm open to either. I don't have a bias. Sentiment of the board?
I think it would,
Sorry, Dennis.
no, go ahead.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I didn't, let us finish our discussion. Then you can come up and talk.
I think we should defer the public hearing until the stormwater situation has been analyzed, but also I thought Ron had said, and I may be mistaken, I thought Ron had said it could be important for the public to know what the details are of the septic before the public hearing as well. So the detailed engineering drawings, I think, should precede scheduling a public hearing and give people time to look at them as well. Like not instantly after they become available, not like days, in other words.
Dennis?
Well, I was going to say, I think having the information at hand would be helpful for our decision. And I don't think it has to be 100% done, but at least to give us an idea of what the intent would be in order to circumvent.
Well, I feel like we're mixing two things. I think no one's debating whether we need a detailed engineering document for a stormwater management. I think what I'm raising is, do we do that in parallel? Do we require them to do that in parallel with a public hearing, because the public's input may or may not be tied to reading detailed engineering documents? Or do we do that in sequence, meaning we ask for the SWIP first, and then when it's done, then we have a public hearing? So Bob is suggesting SWIP first, when done, then public hearing. Heidi is agreeing with that perspective. I think I tend to think that the public is not, the public's opinion about this property is not going to be changed by whether they read detailed engineering documents or not. And so our opinion may change, but the public's may not. So I'm open to whatever people want to do with the board.
For me personally,
Yeah.
I think if seeing that information, and again, I'm aware of those type of documents, if I'm looking at that, I have a better understanding of what the conditions would be and what ramifications might be in the event of a storm.
Laura? Thoughts?
I can do either way, but I think the public may want to know with regard to stormwater management.
Fine.
So just putting it out there.
Got it. Okay. Joe,
Yeah, I
thoughts?
think the sequential process of having the detailed SWIP in place for the public to view prior to the public hearing would be beneficial.
Okay, fair. Mr. Vosta, do you want to say something?
We did submit the drainage proposal with the renovation of the road. It's paved past our lot, the road. We were thinking of putting the 2 culverts down at the bottom of the driveway, plus renovating the culvert at the lowest point of our property and the lowest point of Cliffside to manage storm drainage. That was previously submitted with the renovation of Cliffside.
Ron, do you have a view of how what they've submitted compares to what Andy is asking for?
He's identifying drainage improvements that they have offered in the past, but none of that relates to a stormwater design, a stormwater management report that's being discussed, nor the details of a SWIP. Those details don't exist
Can
presently.
you just give the acronym SWIP, please? Stormwater,
Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan.
hence SWIP.
And the stormwater management report identifies pre-existing and post-construction runoff from the property or the entire drainage basin that's impacted by the property.
I know we had spoken about the runoff.
Yeah, okay, so
and I know
that
we
doesn't
submitted-
exist. I've discussed this numerous times with your consultant,
Yeah.
that they understand it's necessary.
So I think you've heard the sentiment of the board. I think the reality, Mr. and Mrs. Vosta, is that your property, you're trying to build in a...
Difficult, yes, it's a difficult area. We
That's
knew when
right.
we
And,
started.
and my fellow board member, Mr. Surrey, is clearly articulating the weight of the concern, as has the chair of the Conservation Board, and I think you've heard the sentiment of the board. So what we're going to do is I keep looking at Dominic's here. I don't know if we need a vote to ask you to create the SWIP, but I think for the purposes of procedural excellence, I may call for a motion.
Well, I don't think it's procedural. I think you're required to create a SWIP. It's just a question of whether we do it now.
Yeah, fair.
Right? Versus like during the design process. So what we're saying is you're going to have to create it no matter what, because you're going to have to submit it in order for you to get your permit. So you're just going to have to advance it, and that would be the recommendation.
Well, I'd like to make it more than a recommendation, so let's just ask them. So I'm gonna take a motion to ask them to create the SWIP now and before we schedule a public hearing. Motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dennis. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Laura. Any comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. So that's, Ron can work with you about the details of what's required, and your consultant, if he or she is capable and ready to build that. And let's get that going, because I think, as my colleagues on the board have said, that is something that they believe the public would like to see before.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you, guys. Okay, next on the agenda is, God, I can never say this name. Szypula, thank you. Szypula, thank you very much. Ron, we directed Ron to consider to write approval resolution for us. This is now, we vote on the approval resolution. Give a motion to approve the approval resolution, please, and direct me to sign it.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dennis. Second. Thank you, Laura. Any further discussion about this excellent water feature that's not a pool? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes. My pen is ready to go. Although I would say this is not, the ink is not so great on this pen. I may need a new one. Okay. Is it the same one? Okay, thank you. All right. Wonderful. Mazel. Okay. Hume, similar situation. 230 Jaycox. We directed Ron to make approval resolutions. He did. I now ask you to vote to let me sign them. So I have a motion to sign the Hume resolution, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Dennis. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Heidi. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes. I have my pen ready to go. I need a special pen for this. Let's see, I'm running out of ink. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Okay. So this is what Jason's been waiting patiently for. Jason, I'm gonna, may I have a motion to schedule a third site visit? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Did you take like some Valium? Because I could see you exploding. No, you wouldn't? That's good. That's good. You're learning. Don't get mad at the planning board. It's always a bad move. Okay. I think it's time to schedule a public hearing. If any board members wish to go visit this site, or frankly, any members of the public that wish to go visit this site, those watching at home, I urge you to go visit the site, because we are not going to have another formal site visit given the weather. But if any board member wants to go, hopefully Jason's applicant boss in this situation will not shoot sight unseen for you trespassing on their property to go see it. It's
It has a white real estate sign for one of the other lots, and it should be plowed, and
There's a gate at the entrance. There's a gate at the entrance, right?
there's a
Across the street from that house that has a big fence.
yeah, from the Gelber's house. Yeah.
It's like a couple hundred feet north of Garrison Inn Lane.
Okay. So can I have a motion to schedule a public hearing, please, for this property?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dennis. Second. Thank you, Joe. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes. What date is best? Next board meeting? Okay. Great. And you're going to do all the noticing? Great. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, do we need to submit anything for that? I mean, we haven't submitted anything, and I mean, I don't know. I mean,
You
do
like
we
new things?
No, we don't.
You want me to just make some
No.
stuff up?
No, I don't. I just want to make sure that
I think you should do
that
what we do
everybody's been
normal public-
reviewing the same set of plans, and
You should do a,
Why don't you just refile the same set that you'll post it on the website to identify that it's for the current meeting?
okay,
the
and you'll
March meeting.
present with your most
very, yes,
public hearing style
I'll
sense.
be very diplomatic.
That's you're getting
As
so
a-
much better. It's just happening. Every meeting better and better. You do not have to wear a tie. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Is there any new business before this board? Okay, motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dennis. That's why you're sitting next to me, Dennis. Okay, all thank you.
When you're done.
Okay, thank you very much. Good night.
Switch the